on 8 out of 10 Cats, daughter of darkness, Kelly Osbourne. He took the midnight train from Georgia, Reginald D. Hunter, and their team captain, Sean Locke. And facing them tonight, the cream of Manchester, Harry Christian, Peep Show lady, Isy Suttie, and their team captain, Jason Manford. Now, welcome your host, Jimmy Carr.
Hello and welcome to 8 out of 10 Cats, a show about opinion polls, surveys and statistics. Did you know, for example, a doner kebab pot noodle contains 22% of the recommended daily calorie intake of a recently divorced man? An octopus has 3 hearts. Perhaps that's why they're so clingy. It takes just 2 days for a T-bone steak to dissolve in a can of Coke, and I'm pretty sure that is how they make Dr. Pepper. And your mouth produces 1.8 pints of saliva every day, or half as much as Cheryl Cole's yoga instructor. Let's get started. What are you talking about? That's the name of our first round. We've teamed up with a leading polling organisation and they've asked the British nation what stories they've been discussing this week. It's our panellists' job to guess the British public's top 5 most popular talking points. Jason.
Well, it's got to be Michael Jackson's funeral, hasn't it?
What, sorry? Is he dead? Did you watch it?
Oh, I caught the last half hour. Thought it was quite nice. I mean, everyone's been slagging it off, saying it was a bit, you know, a bit cheesy and that, but if you could have Stevie Wonder singing at your funeral, you'd have him, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd rather it was your 40th, but, you know, you'd have him, wouldn't you? The weirdest thing was all the fans. There was, like, millions of fans dressed up like Michael Jackson. Now, can you imagine being at your nana's funeral, right? Just coming out and everyone's dressed like her. You're like...
The thing that I love is how people forget about the bad stuff with the kids.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about that.
He was nice, though. He did really good music. Just like, when anyone dies, that's always what happens. Like, this man murdered 20 prostitutes. Ah, but he was good at macrame. So...
I'll be honest with you, I think when glitter goes, people will remember the bad stuff. Kelly, did you watch it?
I thought the whole thing was a bit much, to be honest. I mean, all of his brothers wearing the glove.
Do you notice the detail of that? Because they clearly bought 5...
I know! Someone told me this. I thought it was so funny. Instead of buying each one of them a right or a left-handed glove, they bought, like, 6 pairs and split them between 12. So some of them had them on the left hand and some of them had them on their right.
The weirdest thing I read is that they're going to put him in a concrete tomb so crazed fans can't dig him up. Who is doing that? Seriously? Who is that much of a fan? Like, hey, love, I know we missed out on tickets for the memorial service. Come in the lounge.
No, but won't his face not decompose because it's plastic?
I don't think it will. I think it'll stay pretty much as is.
Yeah, he's like a bag of nappies. 500-600 years. But I mean, the weird thing about it is it's not really the funeral, is it? It's like a sort of pre-funeral. It's like he's engaged to be dead. In a way, he said, well, we're dead, we're preparing for his deadness, but his deadness hasn't happened yet. We haven't got the full deadness. Because his funeral's going to go on for ages. People are going to be making jokes about his funeral for about 2 or 3 months. It's like the death that just keeps on giving.
Reg, did you watch it?
I came in about halfway through, and first half hour, I thought it was about like some kind of music competition. And,
were you voting at home?
Yeah, wow, it's a concert, man. I started watching it, and then they flashed on the coffin, and I was like, oh, Michael Jackson dead.
But did you expect Simon Cowell to press a button and go,
Yeah, well, I love that Shaheen. He was on it, wasn't he?
He was going to play with Michael Jackson at the O2.
Which everything you say turns into some innuendo.
As you watch it, you could play the Michael Jackson double entendre drinking game. Every time somebody went, he touched so many people. Way!
I'm just saying, for Shaheen, I think playing with Michael Jackson for 50 dates, that would have stretched him. Have you ever met him?
Twice.
You met him twice?
First time I met him was at an MTV after party, and then the second time it was at Madison Square Gardens, and he was wheeling around Elizabeth Taylor with his pants unbuttoned and no shoes on. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The weirdest thing you've ever seen?
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that Mike's dead, a lot of stories like this gonna pop out. You know, just weird stuff that people nobody listen to, but it's just okay to say now because he gone. You're gonna hear stories like, I was eating a hot dog one time and he jumped out the TV. And it was the damnedest thing. It was Michael Jackson. And I'm like, Mike, what you doing here? And he's like, hee hee, and he backed out.
But there's also a thing about his saying he'd be singing in heaven with the angels. And I was thinking, if he gets into heaven, we're all going, aren't we? I bet you if he is going, the angels will be running around telling the cherubs to put some clothes on. I want you wearing dungarees and duffel coats, minimum.
Let's have a look and see whether Michael Jackson's one of the most talked about things this week. Of course it is.
Yes.
Yes, Michael Jackson's funeral took place this week. 12-year-old Britain's Got Talent finalist Shaheen Jaffagoli performed at Jackson's funeral. He raised the roof of the Staples Centre and the lid of the coffin. Go on, what else have people been talking about this week?
MI6.
Was it MI5? I don't know this.
MI6. MI6 is foreign intelligence. MI5 is home. MI4 is like parks and waterways. And MI3 is clamping.
Which one does furniture?
MFI. The head of MI6 has been put on one of those Facebook.
His wife has put him on Facebook.
And generally people think that's not great, that people know what the head of MI6 looks like in his trunks. It's a very funny picture because he's playing football on a beach like this. He's going... You can't see my legs, but it's very funny. I bet he was thinking, I wish my wife had put that other photo on where I'm going like this.
Someone said, some expert as well, said that the Taliban get 80% of their information from social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. Really? Really?
Yeah.
140 characters.
Osama! Stephen Fry is having another bagel for breakfast. Yeah, but also, where's the harm? I mean, it's only holiday pictures. You know, what's she going to do? Like, oh, yeah, as you're flicking through, that's the one of us in the Seychelles. That was one we went down to Devon. That's the one of the inside of a nuclear submarine. Oopsie daisy.
Well, no, it's mostly for him, because obviously he's embarrassed, but now he has to kill her. She'll just be hanging out the wash and go, ooh.
What the hell is a woman of her age doing on Facebook when she's married anyway?
I agree with you, Kelly. I'm impressed that my mum can even turn on a computer, and I think that's the way mum should be.
Last night, my mum said to me, get this working for me. And she handed me her computer, and I said, Mum, you press power. So I leave the room and I come back, and she's still looking at it, trying to figure out how to turn it on.
Do you think whatever your dad's got is catching?
That's not just a mum thing. My brother, he's only 25. I caught him once. The computer was there. He was trying to type some stuff up, and he said, I need to print it out. And it wasn't printing out. And I was going, oh, it'll work itself out. Just connect it. And I left. I come back 10 minutes later, and he had the monitor of the thing looking at the... He turned it round to face the printer going, but he has got paper!
Let's have a look and see if it's up there. Yes, this is the story. The head of MI6 has had personal details published on Facebook. Of course, the Russians are years behind in their technology. They're still using Friends Reunited. The MI6 chief has been seen in a couple of embarrassing photos, one wearing a pair of Speedos and another attaching electrodes to the testicles of an Iranian dissident. OK, Jason, Izzy and Terry, what else have the nation been talking about?
That plinth thing in Trafalgar Square, you know, Anthony Gormley.
I think it's the most
plinth.
ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I like the idea of the plinth. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'd
you
love
wanna
to
go
do
on
it.
the plinth.
I'd love... Well, you have to
What would you
apply.
do for an hour?
What I would do is, it's a plinth. I'd paint myself gold and take a snooker cue so I'd look like a trophy, like that.
You could dress as a pigeon and shit on people's head from it, couldn't you?
Catch a pigeon and shit on its head. Vengeance.
How much do you want to bet that someone's going to get married on it?
Hey?
Some cliche bollocks where some people will get married on it.
Oh, yeah, the old cliche, you know, the plinth in Trafalgar Square, where people get married how many fucking times? Are they going to roll out that one? Jesus, Kelly. OK, well, let's have a look and see whether Anthony Gormley's new artwork is one of the most talked about things this week. Yes, Anthony Gormley's One and Another art project began this week in Trafalgar Square. Anthony Gormley famously created a huge sculpture called the Angel of the North. It weighs 150 tonnes, making it Gateshead's third fattest person. OK, right. Sean, Kelly, Reg, what else have the nation been talking about this week?
Sperm.
Sperm?
Yeah.
What have they been saying about sperm?
That they can genetically make sperm in a test tube now. I don't see the point in it, really, because we were saying it before, there's not exactly a lack of it out there.
Well, maybe in your world, young lady.
They've cloned a human sperm, haven't they? But all they've got to do now is get it down to scale, because currently it's quite big. It's like a live turbot. They also reckon that a lot of scientists don't believe they've done it, and they want an expert to check it. Someone like Jordan, just to go... No, there you go.
I can tell you it's not one of the most talked about things this week, but this is the story that scientists have created sperm in a laboratory for the first time. You'll find the results of their experiments spread across the pages of New Scientist magazine. 2 more things to get fingers on buzzers.
The cricket.
Ashes. The cricket. I imagine you're quite a cricket expert.
I live right near the cricket ground, but I know absolutely fuck all about cricket. I think it's the most boring thing in the whole entire world. It's like fat man's baseball.
They've appointed an official poet for the Ashes.
They have an official poet.
They have an official poet writing a poem about every game.
Oh,
it's literally the Everest of shit.
The big problem is that it's in Wales, isn't it? That's what they're kicking off about. There's people in Wales going, we don't want it. We've got Torchwood, why do we need this?
Do you play cricket, Reg?
No, I'm kind of like Kelly, man. I don't despise it, but I don't get it. It's like, I was trying to get into it, and then I found out that you could play like 5 days and still not have a winner. I was amazed by that, man. That's like having sex all day and nobody comes. Just, you know.
Let's have a look and see whether the Ashes is one of the most talked about things this week. Yes, the Ashes started this week. The Ashes takes place at Cardiff, Lords, Edgbaston, Headingley and the Oval over 25 days. I applied for tickets and was one of the lucky ones. I didn't get any. OK, one more thing to get fingers on buzzers. What else have the nation been talking about?
Is it the News of the World phone tapping situation? It's alleged that the News of the World have tapped, like, 3,000 famous people. And the first thing I thought was, is there 3,000 famous people? I've thought about it all day. I can think of 83.
There's Nolans, that's 5.
Yeah, they were my first 5, Sean.
But who are the Nolans and all now?
The Nolans?
Yeah.
They were a family of murderers. Used to ride around the north, indiscriminately stealing sheep and killing farmers.
On horses?
Yeah, ruthless. But the nation grew to love them. And then they started releasing albums and everyone seemed to forget about it. The music was so good. Yeah, you can't bug my phone. I nicked it.
The phone you nicked might have already been bugged.
Yeah, but they won't know it's me. They'll think it's that nun's. So there's a nun somewhere getting in deep shit.
OK, let's have a look and see if it's up there. Yes, this is the story that the News of the World has been accused of illegally phone tapping. I think the News of the World should revert to the honest and noble traditions of journalism with which they forged their reputation, paying hookers to fuck footballers. OK, so that is our top 5 for this week. In other news, we wish a speedy recovery to Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter films, because he has swine flu, or in his case, Hogwarts. And Madonna is back in London with her new adopted child. The weird thing for that kid is it's now wearing the clothes it made 2 months ago. I can tell you at the end of that round, Sean, Kelly and Reg have 2 points. Jason, Terry and Izzy have 3 points. Welcome back to 8 out of 10 Cats. Our next round is called Pick of the Polls. Sean, Kelly and Reg, what do you like the look of?
Is that a man holding a Bible?
Yes.
OK, you've chosen the vicar. In a survey to find Britain's happiest profession, the clergy came second. What came top?
Beer tasters. A beer taster in Britain would have to be one of the happiest people in the world, I would think. Y'all drink the way Americans eat. And just, you got to go a long way to be an alcoholic in this country.
Yeah, you really have to. You really have to perform. And there are towns where you can't be an alcoholic. Places like Newcastle, where it's just not feasible.
No. I've never seen women drink as much as they do in Newcastle.
Man, on weekends sometimes they dress up like hookers too. It's great.
Kelly, if you had a real job, this is just a scenario. It's not going to happen.
real
No one's going to make you do a real job. What would you like to do?
Oh, is this a real job to you?
Yes, it is. Bringing joy to the nation.
Jimmy, and not forgetting scaring any children who are watching.
Get to bed. I'm coming to get you.
I've got a little brother who's 8, and I asked him a few weeks ago, like, what do you want to be when you're older? And he had a proper good think about it, and he went, a dog. He's looked at the dog and he thinks, that looks like a pretty good life to me. I'll tell you what, the easiest job I've seen recently, lollipop ladies
That's
at
what I was
Crossroads.
just about to say.
Lollipop ladies at
Crossroads.
Pelican Crossing.
Yes, that's what
Why
I
are
don't
you
get.
there? That's the button, it goes red, and then she walks into the middle of the road with a stop. I go, I know!
I'll give you a clue. You get to chat a lot if you do this job.
Is it hairdressing?
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Yes, Britain's happiest profession is hairdressing. If you want to know the difference between a hairdresser and a barber is a slightly older gay man from Cyprus. What do you fancy, Jason?
Oh, OK. What do you reckon, is he? Let's have a little... Is that... What is he doing in the top left? I'd like him.
OK, you've chosen the train spotter. Here's a clip to illustrate the question.
Ben, ici, ils le prennent bien, sauf la voisine, tout près de chez moi. Alors, elle me prend aussi pour un fou. J'ai l'impression d'être dans la peau du pingouin. Oui, voilà, quand je vais venir à Milan, au monter, dans mon costume pingouin, on a déjà fait la pierre, Tobal, avec 2 pingouins. Et puis alors, pour le moment, on est en train de faire le cercueil avec le couvercle en forme de pingouin et le tissu à l'intérieur avec des pingouins. Je me considère comme un belge, typiquement belge, oui.
So, your related question. Most Brits have a hobby they're too embarrassed to tell their friends about. True or false?
It's only posh people who have hobbies, really, isn't it?
It must be train spotting has got to be the most embarrassing, hasn't it? You see, you do always feel a bit superior to those people who are train spotting. I get the train at Stockport and there's a bloke spotting trains and I'm like, well, I can do that, mate. That's a piece of piss. Why don't you go out to sea and try and spot them? You know, challenge yourself. That's the real skill.
No, there are not many different kinds of trains.
It's about the numbers on the trains as opposed to the model.
So they look for numbers?
Yeah.
Or if they've got a big face on the front, you can tell if it's Thomas or Edward or Gordon.
Do you know what my hobby is?
What's your hobby, Sean?
I like going up to people who've got those Sanskrit tattoos and get my Sanskrit English dictionary out. So, what do you think that says? It says, David. No, it says garage.
OK, so what do you think? Most Brits have a hobby they're too embarrassed to tell their friends about.
I say false.
We said false.
So you're saying false? You're saying...
We're going to go false. False.
So you're going false, you're going false. I can tell you the answer is false.
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is false. Only 5% of Brits have a hobby they're embarrassed about. I could tell you my hobby, but then I'd have to kill you, which coincidentally is my hobby. So at the end of that round, I can tell you it's 3 points to Sean's team and 5 points to Jason's team. And the winner is the name of our final round. Here is your first one. Worst thing about nightclubs.
Slags.
No, it's worst thing.
No, there's never enough of them.
Never enough slags?
Slags.
I don't know what you lot are complaining about. You'd never get laid if there wasn't slags.
Good point, well made.
I think it's that they make you feel old. I mean, like 10 years ago, I'd have gone in and I looked round to see if there was any, you know, nice-looking girls to have a chat to. Now, I'll go in and I look around to see if there's anywhere to sit. The music's so loud that you're shouting, and then suddenly in some of the songs there's just a silent bit, and then you end up going, I've never killed since. Just really loud.
I mean, I worked in nightclubs for years, and one of the weird things is when I've had guys come round up to me. I'm serious. A guy come up to me, and this is the worst one. It's when they go, "Are you that twat, Terry Christian?" And you just don't know what the right answer is, do you?
Yes, I am. Would be yes, I am that twat. Terry Christian would be the correct answer.
Or there's like the backhanded compliment that is like, I thought that you were going to be so fat and ugly, but you're not. Well, you're a lot prettier than I thought you were going to be.
I get that a lot. You're just so pretty. You don't look pretty on the television. But actually, you're beautiful. Your skin is so soft, Sean. Can I hold you? And then they cradle me like that.
Is it mums who go clubbing with their daughters and they're like, everyone thinks we're sisters? You're like, no, we really don't.
I don't like it. You're not allowed to take pets in. I was looking after a friend of mine's Alsatian, and I said, I just want to stand by the dance floor with a dog like that. And a pint. Also, there's no creche. Often my partner works nights. And what, am I supposed to stay in? I should be able to take the kids to a creche, go, there's some crisps, there's some lemonade, Daddy's going dancing.
OK, so, worst thing about nightclubs...
The drinks are a bit dear.
That's the right answer.
Nice.
Well done.
Yes, the worst thing about nightclubs is expensive drinks. I always go to nightclubs to get off my tits, which is what they say to me. Get off my tits. Top thing Brits won't sacrifice to spike the credit crunch.
Is it, like, just crap from IKEA that you don't need? You've gone in to buy, like, a Billy bookcase, but you come out with, like, a lime holder.
200 tea lights.
Yeah,
I just want these 200 tea lights. I might need to power a runway.
Is it crazy straws?
How crazy are you talking, Sean?
I'm talking mental straws. Straws, where you start sucking, it's a week before you taste anything. It goes over there. It goes into a different borough for a bit, and then it comes back.
I would say tea, because tea is a big deal to people over here, man. You walk in their house, first thing they do is offer you some tea. If you have a stroke and you seem to be coming back from it, they offer you some tea. You could have just had an abortion, your husband could have left you, but the first thing they will offer you is some tea. Yeah, so I just think people won't do without no tea over here.
Yeah.
Well, you're not a million miles away with tea.
Coffee.
I'll give you a clue. It's a foodstuff.
Steak.
I'll give you that. Bizarrely, the top thing Brits won't sacrifice despite the credit crunch is meat. I'm not sure I agree with the morality of eating meat. I only eat what I can kill, but there's not much meat on a sleeping vagrant. Well, that sound tells me it's the end of the round and the end of the show, which means the final scores are Sean, Kelly and Reg have 4 points, Jason, Terry and Izzy are the winners with 6 points. Thanks to all our panellists, our wonderful studio audience and to all of you watching at home. That's it from us. Good night.